I'm Mark.
I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode number 94. We are from the comic book store Alter Ego Comics, located in beautiful Lima, Ohio. And this week we're deviating a little bit from our norm, and we're just going to talk about what we do in the store is each staff member picks 3 books that they really enjoyed, and those are the staff picks for the week. And we usually try and condense our picks down to 5 for some, because top 5 has a nice ring to it, I guess. But this week I'm going to do my 3 and Josh is going to do his 3. So you're going to get 6 this week, because it's always good to talk about great comics. And we don't want to short shift anyway. Actually, we could talk about like 9 or 10 comics this week, because it was a really good week. But I will start things off with Superman number 13 by Scott Lobdell and Kenneth Rocafort. This is the new creative team, first issue by these guys. And this, for me, is what I've been looking for in a Superman comic. The relaunch, when the New 52 started back with Superman number 1 by George Perez, really wasn't what I was looking for, and from what I understand, most of you weren't looking for it either. Action Comics is a totally different beast. Superman is a very complicated character to write, from what I understand. I haven't tried, but you should be thankful for that. He's invincible. He's a god. And how do you write stories for 75 years about this guy who really cannot be hurt, and is always, and no one's figured out that he's Clark Kent in 75 years. Spoiler, sorry. But Superman 13 is a great jumping on point. You don't need to know anything really other than Clark Kent is Superman to pick this up and enjoy it. And there's the introduction of some new characters. I think one of the reasons I like this, and one of the reasons I think it's going to work and resonate with people, is that Clark Kent in this series is portrayed in his probably mid to late 20s, I would say. Yeah. And he's starting to act like that. He's using language that more of a millennial would use versus a baby boomer. And he does something pretty brash in this issue that we haven't seen done before. The artwork by Rocafort is always good. It's a little different. It may not be exactly what people are looking for. It's not kind of that clean, traditional look for the Superman. But I liked it, and I think as a package, Superman 13 is what Superman fans have been waiting for and looking for. And as a casual Superman fan, I truly enjoyed it, and I'll be back next month.
Also new last week, we had Punisher Warzone number 1. Now, what's this, Josh? Another Punisher series in addition to Space Punisher and Regular Punisher and Punisher? And no, actually Regular Punisher, the Greg Rucka series that we've just raved about since it started and really loved, has wrapped up. This Warzone is sort of a goodbye. This is a last love letter to the Punisher by Greg Rucka. So we've got the same writer on it as the previous awesome Punisher series, and it spins directly out of the events in there. We have picked up a new artist, Carmine Di Giandomencio. I'm sorry, Carmine. I apologize for that. But it's really solid. The basic premise is, if you're familiar with how the last Punisher series ended, it appears to most people like the Punisher has killed a cop.
Lots of cops.
Yeah. Well, they've only pinned one actual cop on him. There is some speculation that he's killed much more than that, as far as civilians rather than actual evil people. And the call goes down, and they say, the Avengers, it's time to shut this down. It sounds like kind of a generic plot, Punisher versus the Avengers. We've sort of seen things similar to it before. I really like the way Rucka's done this. You see the initial reaction that we expect from some of the Avengers when you see certain Avengers handle it differently, and it's just, they make it very personal. It's great characterization, and he finds a way to make the Punisher relevant when he's going up against people that are, like Superman, basically gods. And just love the heck out of it. It's a mini-series. It's your last chance to catch Greg Rucka's Punisher. You should take it.
And possibly Greg Rucka writing for the big 2.
Yeah.
He may only do creator-owned work going forward. But and I think Josh alluded to it, but I do want to point out this is a continuation of the series that just ended. This is not a new storyline. This is picking up the threads that have been left over from Rucka's 16-issue run. So if you were reading that, you want to read this, and if you haven't, you can still jump in and dig it. Mm-hmm. Punisher versus Avengers. Justice League Dark number 13 is on my list by Jeff Lemire and Mikkel Janin. And I've really been enjoying Justice League Dark since Jeff Lemire took over writing the book. Starting with kind of the 0 issue. I picked it up before the 0 issue, but this is a good, I don't want to say alternative, but it's a good complement to the regular Justice League book. if you're enjoying that and you want to see a dysfunctional team, a really dysfunctional team whose powers are based in magics, and also kind of there's some, if you draw two circles with one being Justice League and one being Justice League Dark, there is some crossover territory in there. So Steve Trevor's involved, and I think further down the road we're going to see, my hunch is, more threads connecting these two books. But for now, it's a great place to get all of the magical DC superheroes in one place. And it's got the feel, again, DC's doing a lot of things right from my perspective in making good comics, and comics that feel like traditional comic books. I've mentioned this over the last few weeks. There's been at least one book every week that really feels like a comic that I read when I was a kid or a teenager. And Justice League Dark is that book for me this week. Just lots of action, interesting characters, fast-paced. What's not to love?
Yeah. Justice League Dark's awesome. I got
That was a ringing endorsement.
Well, no, it is.
You don't need to say anything.
It's good. That's all I'm saying. Well, no, part of the New 52 is integrating the Wildstorm universe and the Vertigo universe back into the 52. And Justice League Dark is sort of a home for several of those Vertigo characters, as well as Vertigo places like the House of Mystery and the House of Secrets. And that's just so cool. Which brings me to my next book this week, or last week as it were, Journey into Mystery 645, written by Kieran Gillen with art by Stephanie Hans. This is the final, this is not the final issue of Journey into Mystery. This is the final issue of Journey into Mystery written by Kieran Gillen. This is sort of the culmination of the storyline that's been going on since the title changed from Thor to Journey into Mystery 20-some-odd issues ago. And it's just amazing. I've been singing the praises of this from day one. This is the closest you're going to get to a Vertigo-style story in the Marvel Universe. This is basically Sandman, but it's actually tied in to a key universe. Sandman touched on the universe a little bit. Batman, Martian Manhunter showed up, and then went off and did its own thing. But this is a story that's about stories, that's sort of, not necessarily highbrow, but it's definitely got ideas behind it, interweaving mythology and myth, which are the same thing. And it's grounded in the universe with characters we care about. Thor shows up, and Thor's a primary character. And this young Loki is a great villain. He's an amazing villain. And they managed to take this young version of him and make him a completely different character that's still Loki, but someone you can actually root for and actually feel bad when things don't go well for him. And they don't go well. As you've known, if you've been reading the series, the last couple issues have been kind of heartbreaking. As the characters that we've seen and interact have their statuses changed considerably. And this one is no exception. This is the last issue that will tear at the heartstrings. But Journey into Mystery is great. I'm telling you, I will call it right now. In 10 years, this will still be a book that is important. It's still the kind of book you want to go back and reread. Because while it's part of the universe, it's also self-contained, and I think it's going to hold up really well. And if you want to be there so that you can say, I was there the first time when it was in print, this is your last chance.
Amazing Spider-Man number 696 Amazing Spider-Man makes my list. Surprise! Every time an issue comes out, pretty much, it's on my list. This one actually was co-written, or written by two people, Dan Slott and Christos Gage, with artwork by Giuseppe Camuncoli, and continuing the ramping up towards issue number 700. Peter Parker has been captured by the new Hobgoblin, and is being held captive by the Kingpin, and they think he has this device, this briefcase that will wreak havoc, and the Kingpin wants it. But the original Hobgoblin is also lurking around and decides he's going to take on the new Hobgoblin because he's kind of a loser. So you've got Hobgoblin versus Hobgoblin. You throw the Kingpin in there. Peter's captured. They've activated this device that's making his spider sense just go crazy. So he's basically incapacitated. And then his boss from Horizon, what's his face?
Max Modell
is on the scene, and there was a moment here where I thought that he was going to figure out that something. He was going to figure out Peter Parker's identity.
I think he did figure it out.
I don't think he did. Know. I don't think he did.
It's ambiguous, but
he's thinking about it. But the great thing about Spider-Man, since Slott has taken over, is the forward momentum, that you have character development. You have these new characters that they've introduced, like Max Modell, like Phil Urich, although he's not a new character. He's getting a lot more play here. Nora Roberts. No, is that her name? Nora Roberts is the author. Nora Winters.
Nora Ephron? No.
Yeah. Nora Winters. You've got the supporting cast that has recently just been developed for Spider-Man. I mean, recently, within the last 5-6 years. Mm-hmm. And those characters have hung around. They've been developed. They haven't just disappeared. And they're part of what makes Amazing Spider-Man a really great book. So we've got Another issue, 697, is the last before the big kahuna. 698 supposedly is supposed to be just tremendously important and essential if you're going to read issue number 700. But for now, the storyline kind of continues here, and I'm enjoying it.
Also on the list of heartbreaking last issues from last week, there were actually two that were jockeying for position for the last spot on my list. The last issue of Invincible Iron Man by Matt Fraction, and the last issue of FF by Jonathan Hickman. Hickman won out by just this much. And the reason he won out, if you've been following the FF story at all, you know that some big stuff has gone down, galaxy changing, reality bending, and this issue ends with quiet family stuff, which is what the FF is about. You know, it's the first family, it's about love and hope. And there's a scene, it's a brief 3 or 4 page scene, that's old from the future, little F kid, Franklin. little Franklin from the future, so he's an adult, looks maybe 30s, maybe 40. And he's sitting in a bar with Johnny and Ben, telling them stories of their adventures that haven't happened yet, and because of the way they've changed history, will never happen. Stories about the Thing having to fight with no pants, being turned into a human, an Impossible Man, and it's just had this really resonant tone, and it just made me happy to read it. You know, it was a book that ended with hope, and Hickman did a great job. It was awesome.
He's getting choked
I'm
up
getting
a
a
little
little
bit.
choked
I can see that. Like Journey into Mystery, like you mentioned, Journey into Mystery, I think Hickman's run on FF and Fantastic Four is going to be one that stands the test of time, and that 20 years from now, people are still going to be reading Hickman's run on Fantastic Four and FF. All right, well, that wraps up last week's picks. Now, Josh, a special announcement from Josh.
Just wanted to give you a shout out. We got a new trade on the floor this week. It is Astonishing X-Men Exalted. Josh, no one cares about Astonishing X-Men. I know, it's okay. After Joss Whedon left, Astonishing X-Men sort of meandered a bit. You know, there was an arc by Warren Ellis that was really inconsistent in its publishing schedule, and then it kind of jumped around creative team to creative team, and a lot of people fell off it because it was just not a real reliable book. Well, if you fell off, you may have missed a few things, and they are awesome, so I will now tell you about them. The first of which is Exalted. This is a story by Greg Pak that is essentially the prelude to the new Extreme X-Men book. If you've been reading that with crazy Canadian Teddy Roosevelt Wolverine and Little Kid Nightcrawler leaping through dimensions, this is where it started. This gets the band together, and this is awesome. It's the same creative team, it's the same writer as the ongoing series. So if you're enjoying Extreme X-Men, definitely check out the Exalted trade. You will not be disappointed. And if you've been enjoying Wolverine and the X-Men, one of my favorite characters from the new stuff is Brew, the little sentient brood that is really just amazing. And where he comes from is an arc called Children of the Brood. Again, from Astonishing X-Men, again, in trade in the store right now. This will give you the background and show you where Brood came from. But beyond that, beyond being an interesting background for a character, it's also a really great X-Men story. You know, you've got Kitty Pryde and Beast and Storm and Colossus trapped on a space station full of Brood and trying to find a way out, and some people are infected, and it's just really cool classic X-Men. And also, in the classic X-Men vein, the Children of the Brood trade is actually filled out a little bit with a classic Chris Claremont Brood story from an old X-Men issue. So if you like Brood, Children of the Brood is super great.
And who doesn't love the Brood? Honestly, when I started reading X-Men comics when I was a kid, the Brood storylines were the best. I mean, the original Dave Cockrum, I think it was Cockrum that did it, and Paul Smith, Chris Claremont story, and then when Silvestri was on with Claremont in the 80s. God, just good stuff. Yeah. All right, well, we're bringing back this week's highlights because there is a lot to highlight. We want to make sure that you're aware of all this cool stuff coming out because it's easy to overlook. We've got Bedlam #1 by Nick Spencer coming out this week. This is the creator of Morning Glories. This is his first creator-owned book, I think, since Morning Glories. And it is filled with murder and mayhem and mystery and is already being spoken about as the next great thing and will probably sell out the week that it comes out. We had a chance to get an advanced look at it, and it's definitely worth checking out. It's a lot of story. There's a lot of story there, and it's good, and it keeps me coming back for more.
Infinite Vacation.
Oh, yeah. Well, did that ever finish?
I don't think it did. I think like 3 issues came out and then it stopped.
We have high hopes for Bedlam, Mr. Spencer. Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe trade paperback comes out this week. The series sold like wildfire. We couldn't keep it in. We carried second and third prints. And so if you didn't get a chance to read this awesome series, or if you're a trade waiter, the Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe trade comes out this week. We've got a couple anthologies coming out. First is Ghosts. and that is from Vertigo. This is, of course, DC's adult imprint. It's a new anthology series with some great writing talent involved. You've got stories by Jeff Johns and Joe Kubert and Paul Pope, and then you've got artwork by Gilbert Hernandez, Phil Jimenez, and of course Joe Kubert. So if you're in the mood for some scary, haunting type stuff the week of Halloween, check out Ghosts #1. Also, we have another anthology, Joe Kubert Presents #1. We've talked about this one before, actually, when Joe Kubert passed away. We'd mentioned that this series was on the horizon, and it turns out that all of the issues are done. But this is Kubert doing his own thing, but also hand-picking some writers and artists to contribute as well. And we do get a new Hawkman story in the first issue of Joe Kubert Presents, as well as some other fun stuff. We've got Lot 13, #1. This is written by Steve Niles, the creator of 30 Days of Night, with artwork by Glenn Fabry from Preacher. And this just looks like it's going to be a terrifying new horror series by Mr. Niles, or Messrs. Niles and Fabry, and really interested in that. And then finally, Superman Earth 1 Volume 2 comes out this week. This is written by J. Michael Straczynski with artwork by Shane Davis, and is the follow-up to the New York Times bestseller. Actually, when the first volume came out, we sold out of it, I believe, in the first week. It was the first 7 to 10 days. We totally either underestimated demand or everyone was crazy about this book. And to this day, it's in our top sellers list of 7 years being open. Much like the first volume and the first volume of Batman Earth 1, you're going to want to check this out. It's a great thing to come out around the holidays. You know, anybody that picked up Volume 1, you definitely want to check out Volume 2 with the continuing story of Superman in a different world. And we're seeing his early days, which is not much different than actually what we're seeing in the New 52 right now. Way to go, DC. But it's Straczynski writing his version of Superman, not under the constraints of DC Comics proper, with the grounded storyline, and crazy good artwork by Shane Davis. So that comes out this week too. So sorry,
but I could wait for the soft cover of that, right?
I don't know if they're going to do a soft cover. We've never seen a soft cover of these Earth 1 books. Superman Earth 1 came out 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 Christmases, or a while
and
ago.
Has not been released in soft cover. So it's a reasonably priced hardcover, and it looks good on your bookshelf. So anyway, lots of stuff coming out this week. You definitely want to stop in the store or your local store and check it out. As always, we appreciate you watching, and we hope to see you soon.